Well, Jim, I'm always happy to see you. You're such an amazing person, great friend, and you are just one of my favorite people to talk to when it comes to everything, life, everything. You just have such a great attitude. Your mindset's great. You practice what you preach, and your background is so powerful. You have a wonderful story. So thank you so much for joining me for these Doctors Talk. I know people are going to learn so much from you. So thank you, Jim. And if you don't mind just spending a few minutes, just giving people a little bit of your background on who you are and how you landed up being a limitless learner and how you've revolutionized millions of people's lives, including mine.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm a fan and follower of your work, Dr. Leaf. So I want to thank you for, just an amazing work that you do. And we're so glad to feature you and to our audience on a regular, and feature your books and your podcast and everything.
Thank you. Yeah, we just did the most amazing event with you, Limitless Learner, and it was just incredible. It was hundreds of thousands of people, and it was just fantastic. So just listening to you is such a treat. So take it away. I want people to hear lots of you and not a lot of me.
So my name is Jim Kwik of Kwik Learning. I help people to learn quickly. People refer to me often as a brain coach, which I didn't even know was a thing, but it's my 32nd year as a coach, helping people have their best, brightest brain. I believe you change your brain, you change your life. You change your brain, you could change the entire world. My specialty is helping people learn faster, so to have less stress and anxiety, because they could catch up, keep up, and get ahead. If people see me at events that you and I are sharing the stage at, if there's time, I'll do a demonstration where I'll pass around a microphone in an audience, and 50 or 100 people introduce themselves, and I'll memorize all their names, or they'll give me 100 random words or numbers, and I'll recall it forwards and backwards. But I always tell people, I don't do this to impress you. I really do this to express to you what's possible, because the truth is, every single person here with us, they could do it too, regardless of their age or their background, career, educational level, financial situation, gender, history, IQ. It's just we weren't taught. The reason why I know it's possible is because I grew up with some severe learning difficulties. When I was 5 years old in kindergarten class, I unfortunately had an accident. I had a very bad fall, traumatic brain injury, I was knocked unconscious, rushed to the emergency room. And where it really showed up was like in my being. My parents said before, as a 5-year-old, very curious and energized, very playful, but I really shut down. I would have these migraines every single day as a 5-6-year-old. I had balance coordination issues. I really showed up in school. I had very limited focus, memory. It took me 3 years longer to learn just how to read. And that was very embarrassing. Introduced a lot of self-doubt, lack of confidence and self-esteem issues, feeling worthy enough. I remember when I was 9 years old, I was slowing down the class, and I was being teased pretty harshly because I just didn't understand the lessons like all the other students. And a teacher came to my defense. She pointed to me in front of the whole class and said, "Leave that kid alone. That's the boy with the broken brain."
Wow.
And that label became my limit. I think a lot of limits are learned when it comes to our mindset. And so adults have to be very careful of their external words, because they often become a child's internal words.
Yeah.
So every single time I did badly in school or wasn't picked for sports, I would always say to myself, "Oh, it's because I have the broken brain."
So sad.
And so I struggled all through school. My two biggest challenges were learning and public speaking, if you could believe that, because I just never knew the answers. And I would work really hard. I would do a book report, but if a teacher asked me to come to the front of the class and talk about it, I would freeze. I mean, even talking about it, my mouth is getting dry. I'm kind of reliving it, where I never wanted the spotlight, because I never knew the answers. And life has a sense of humor, because my two biggest challenges were learning and public speaking. And all I do every day is public speak on this thing called learning. But it's also a reminder for all of us that with challenge comes change. With struggles could lead to strengths. And, you talk about this brilliantly in your research with neuroplasticity. With novelty and nutrition, we can make new connections, new thoughts and beliefs, and new ways of doing things. And when I was 18, I was very fortunate to meet a mentor, and showed me really what I'm capable of. And I started studying the mind and the brain, and and really wanted to find out how I could learn better. And yeah, after 60 days of studying this, a light switch flipped on and I started to understand things for the first time. And not only did my grades improve, but my life improved overall. I'm in my 50s and I'm sharper now than I ever was, even from my 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I've made it my life mission the past few decades to show people how to have a better, brighter brain. No brain left behind is really the mission. So we show people how to focus, how to improve their memory, how to be able to learn, read faster, understand. And, I know a lot of people are stressed right now and they're struggling with their focus and they have anxiety. We live in an age where we're drowning in information, distractions. And we know chronic stress has been shown to shrink the human brain over time. So we give people real tools to help them redraw the borders and boundaries of what's possible for them.
Beautiful. That's why I love your work, because you really do demonstrate neuroplasticity in action. And the beautiful thing that we know that intelligence is unlimited. You're as limited as you're as intelligent as you want to be. And you're an icon when it comes to this. And you've developed a whole concept called limitless learning. And you've got a whole program, you've got books, you've got incredible work. Jim, do you mind just giving a broad outline of how you approach? I know there's a lot. People can go and find a lot more about you, but just a broad outline of the concept of limitless learning. And then I'd love to talk about momentum, because when it comes to mental health, and as you already said, there's so much knowledge out there, but we can know stuff. Another thing is applying it. And you're an excellent teacher when it comes to the application of knowledge and the momentum needed to apply knowledge. So 2 parts to the question, if you don't mind giving an outline of the limitless learning concept, and then let's move into the concept of momentum.
Absolutely. So let's make this like a little masterclass. Limitless is not about being perfect. Limitless is about advancing and progressing beyond either what we're demonstrating or beyond what we believe is possible. So if everyone could think about an area where they're not advancing, an area of their life where they feel stuck. It could be in their learning, their reading speed, their memory, their focus. It could be in their income, their happiness, any area of their life. Where do you feel like you're in a box? And I'm kind of old school, so just grab a piece of paper. People watching this on video, just imagine you're in this 3-dimensional box, and everyone could draw a little box for themselves. And where do you feel like you're stuck in a box, where you're not advancing, where you're not progressing, and you're kind of stalled? This box, by definition, is 3-dimensional. So the 3 forces that contain that box that are keeping you stuck, but these are the same 3 forces that we found will liberate you out of that box. And I call it the limitless model. So if everybody wants to, they could draw it also as well. But imagine 3 intersecting circles, like a Venn diagram. Very, very simple, kind of like Mickey Mouse, 2 ears and a face. And I represent the 3 forces, the 3 dimensions that hold you limited or liberate you, become more limitless, or we could redraw the borders and boundaries of what's possible. So think about where an area of your life where you feel stuck. There are 3 forces that will get you unstuck to get you more limitless, right? And these are the same 3 forces also. I represent them with 3 M's. So you can imagine 3 M's, where the last M on the bottom, the face, if you will be your methods. Because there are methods to get out of this box. If you feel like you're stuck here financially, there are methods that will help you to grow your monies, to be able to share your monies, to be able to invest your monies. But everybody wants to know what the methods are. But I realize a lot of people know what to do, but they're not doing what they know. And there are 2 forces that still have to be addressed. The first one, if you think about the top left, is your mindset. So mindset for me is the set of assumptions and attitudes you have about something. So if your attitudes and assumptions are, let's say, about money is you have to hurt people to make money, money doesn't grow on trees, money is the root of all evil, then that will keep you stuck in this box, even if you know the methods. Right? Because if you self-sabotage, take 1 step forward, maybe 2 steps back, 3 things I would say in mindset that directly affect all of us. What I believe is possible would be 1, right? What I believe I'm capable of. Maybe they believe that, that's possible for that person, but it's not possible for me. And a third, if we're going to get really raw, is what I believe I deserve. because we have this internal thermostat in terms of what we feel like, we're deserving of, what we're worthy of. And so it helps to be able to liberate that. So I always say that all behavior is belief driven. Let's take something like when we teach people how to remember names and faces. A very important business etiquette skill, right? Because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And how are you going to show somebody you care for their business, their future, their health, if you don't care enough just to remember like their name, right?
Love it.
But yes, and your brain is like this incredible supercomputer, and your self-talk, your beliefs are the program it will run. So if you tell yourself, I'm not good at remembering people's names, you will not remember the name of the next person you meet because you program your computer not to, right?
Exactly.
So self-awareness is a starting point for all positive change. And so if you find yourself saying, I don't have a great memory, just edit it and add a little word like yet at the end. I don't have a great memory yet. It just it feels different. It opens up the possibility and the potential. And so your brain is always, your mind is always eavesdropping on your self-talk. So you want to be able to keep it encouraging and positive. But you could have a limitless mindset and even know what to do, the methods, but still be stuck in that box because you lack the second M, which is motivation. You don't have the motivation to leave that box. And I feel like life is difficult for one of two reasons. Life is difficult either because you're leaving your comfort zone, or life is difficult because you stay in your comfort zone. And for me, motivation is not some abstract thing that you have. It's something that you do. So I think part of the nature of our work is helping people transcend. You're ending the trance. Either through the mass hypnosis, through marketing or media that says you're not enough, that you're broken, or the self-hypnosis when we say something like, I don't have a good memory. Like people all the time at events, they pull me aside and they say, I know you're a memory coach. They say something like, I have a horrible memory. Or I'm just too old. I'm not that smart. And I always say the same thing. I say, stop. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you fight for your limitations, they're yours, right? And so motivation for me is not something you have, it's something you do. And there's three parts for limitless motivation. It's the letters, this is the formula, P times E times S3. P times E times S3. So let's say you want to motivate yourself to do something good for your anxiety or good for your brain. Let's say it's exercise, right? We know that as your body moves, your brain grooves. You exercise, you create dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, which is good for your cognitive health. When you exercise, you create something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factors, which is it's like fertilizer for your brain for enhancing neuroplasticity. But let's say you're not exercising on the regular, maybe it's too big. The P stands for purpose. Right. And so reasons reap results. I feel like it has to go from your head to your heart, then to your hands. So the evidence that you're motivated is that you consistently act. But if you're not acting with your hands and you have ideas in your head, check in with the second H, which is your heart, which symbolizes emotion. And emotion is like the energy of motion. You have to feel it. So we know intellectually we should read, or intellectually we should meditate, or intellectually we should move more. But if we're not doing it, it has to go from your understanding in your head to your heart. So simple example, a few years ago, I saw somebody on the street that I recognized, but I didn't know who it was, which is not good for a memory coach. This person looked so fit and young, and I just didn't recognize him. When he opened his mouth and he started talking to me, I knew who he was instantly because I recognized his voice, but he looked completely different. The backstory is this person, for as long as I've known him, was very unhealthy. And he took pride in being unhealthy, in smoking and eating all that junk food and not exercising. But he looked, when I saw him recently, he looked younger. He had this glow. He lost all this weight. He was fit. And I just had to know, I think genius leaves clues, that if somebody's doing something well, that there's a method behind what looks like magic. And I asked him what he did, and he tells me all these lifestyle changes he was doing. And I was like, wow, our friends, we've been telling you this for years, but you just didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but I was traveling from a business trip. When I came home, my daughter was crying hysterically. She had a dream that I died and wasn't there for her. And that really gave him purpose. So just a reminder to know, like, if people seen photos with me with Richard Branson or Bill Gates or Oprah or Elon Musk, people always want to know how we connected. We bonded over books because you read to succeed. If someone like yourself has decades of experience and research and you put it into 18 plus books, somebody can sit down and read that book in a few days. They can download decades of wisdom and insights in days.
Absolutely.
Right? But if we're not reading every day, I think reading is one of the most powerful things you could do to keep cognitively fit. Reading is to your mind what exercises your body. But maybe intellectually, you should read. But if you don't feel the benefits, the rewards, the consequence of not doing that, we won't do it. So P is purpose. And then the E, P times E times S3, the E is energy. When we're exhausted, like we have a 18-month-old and he's teething and not sleeping through the night. When you're exhausted and depleted, you're not going to be very motivated. You're going to procrastinate. You're not going to want to read or work out or do the things that you need to do. So the E is energy. And just like you don't have motivation, you do it. You're taking a noun and turning it into a verb. You don't have energy. You do. There's a process for generating energy. All right. And there's different ways. The foods that you eat, it's your sleep, it's managing your stress that could deplete a lot of energy. It's being around energy vampires. It's all these different things, right? Yeah. So I just want to remind everybody to take care of themselves, because self-care is not selfish. And that's why a big part of my research is on what you could do to have more brain energy. And then finally, you could have limitless purpose and limitless energy and still not be motivated because you lack. Maybe that thing you're going for is just too big. It's abstract, it's confusing, it's intimidating. And a confused mind doesn't do anything, right? And so maybe working out or reading 30 minutes a day is too big of a jump because it's out of your normal routine. So S3 stands for small, simple steps. And so I believe, so maybe it's not working out. Maybe if you're stalled, you're stuck in that box, maybe S3 is putting on your running shoes. Maybe your kids they're not motivated you want to motivate them to floss their teeth, right? A small, simple step, floss one tooth. Or maybe you want to read 30 minutes a day and you still can't get yourself to do it. Even if you have purpose and you have a lot of energy, maybe opening up the book is a small, simple step, right? Because inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard is just too hard. And so I think consistency compounds, and little by little, a little becomes a lot. So that's really the key to massive limitless motivation. And then the last M on the bottom are the methods. Like if you're using old methods for reading or old methods for memorization or old methods for fill in the blank, sometimes you have to upgrade, because we know that the half-life of information and research is getting smaller and smaller, right? It might be outdated. You might be using old systems and you're not reaching your goal, even if you have a limitless mindset and you have limitless motivation, because you're using old techniques. And like we teach people how to read 3 times faster with better comprehension. But the last time we took a reading class, most people were 6, 7 years old. So the difficulty of demand has increased a lot, which creates a lot of stress, anxiety. They call it information anxiety, higher blood pressure, compression of leisure time, more sleeplessness, right? And so there's a real health consequence. When you're in fight or flight, you create this cortisol, this adrenaline, and puts you, in a way, it holds you hostage in your survival brain. You prioritize being safe, and you don't have easy access to your executive functioning, to your creativity, to your imagination, to your problem solving. And so, yes, I think that most people now, out of fear, they shrink like their dreams or their goals to meet the current situation. And I would say, don't downgrade your dreams. Instead, upgrade your mindset, your motivation, and the methods you're currently using to be able to meet those big, audacious goals.
Oh, that's brilliant. Every time I listen to you, and I listen to you so much, I learn something new. And this is like, it's simple, it's practical, but you've got to have that approach, and that those just having the circles and they all interact in the middle. That's how we're going to succeed. It's amazing. Okay, Jim, I know we've only got a few minutes left, but you are so good at explaining momentum. So these these three circles that interact that you've just described in terms of limitless, being limited. I mean, being limitless, not limited. We've got to keep going. And I heard you give a talk recently about momentum, and I know there's crossover with some of the things you said. So I'd love you just to give a summary of how we can keep that momentum going in our life.
So one of the best ways of achieving momentum, if you redraw the borders and boundaries of what's possible in your mindset, your motivation, your methods, you have the fourth M, which is really momentum. Right. And that's what everybody wants. This is where you have a certain level of velocity and less friction, because you're unlimiting these areas of your life. You control the controllables, and you could always control your head, your heart, your hands, your mindset, your motivation, and the methods you're using. And so we put together just eight tips for greater cognitive momentum in your life or your learning. I use acronyms a lot, so everyone could write down the word momentum. And these are just reminders to help you to kind of zone in on different areas that might be holding you back. The first M in momentum is your mindset. So this is really mindset mastery, because everything begins, with your mind, and cultivating, I know you've done a lot of research in the area of growth mindset, where you see challenges as opportunities to learn, to be able to grow, where it's with challenge comes change, that there's a gift in things, that your mind, like your memory, is not fixed like your shoe size. It's not like you take an IQ test when you're 8 and that's your same potential when you're 88.
Definitely not.
Right. And so, and you've shown this in your research. And so just like you could create new connections to do a new behavior, you could change your thoughts. You could change your current belief system. And, this Henry Ford quote, if you believe you can or believe you can't, either way, you're right. Right. Because all behavior is belief driven. And if you want to be able to create a new result, you need to do a new behavior. In order to do that new behavior, you need a belief that says that's possible. So addressing that. The O in momentum is organize, specifically organizing your environment. And what do I mean by that? You talk a lot about mental mess. And I just want to remind people that your external world is often a reflection of your internal world.
Absolutely.
And it's important to Marie Kondo your mind, if you will. And people know that if they just clean their desk or put everything in the right file folder on their computer, they have clarity of thought.
Absolutely.
So your environment shapes your behavior. So when's the last time we took time to create a space that minimizes distractions, and maximize your focus, whether it's your physical workspace, it could be your digital workspace, to ensure that you're properly set up for your goals. You do so much work in habits. And one of the core principles for habit design is you want to make what's good for you easier, and what's not good for you more difficult, if you will. And so, for example, I talk a lot about not touching your phone the first 30 minutes a day or the last 30 minutes of the night before you go to sleep. And you could have your phone by your nightstand, but that's just, you have to control your environment. Like, what if you put your phone in your kitchen or in your bathroom? It just makes it harder to do the things that are not so good for you. So I feel like that would be the O, is organize your environment. Clean environment will lead to a cleaner mind. The M in momentum, the second M, the third letter, is measure. Right. What gets measured gets managed.
Exactly.
And it's good with like what we teach in learning, because you can measure reading speed. You can measure reading comprehension. You can measure focus. I can give people a list of names or numbers or words, and you can measure them before, teach them, and then measure them afterwards. So regularly track your progress. It'll help you create a feedback loop that will motivate you, because nothing is as motivating as seeing progress, right? And then you could, with that feedback, and I think there's no such thing as failure, just failure to learn. And feedback is the breakfast of champions, right? And also celebrating those small wins, because that will reinforce that positive behavior. The E in momentum is the one we already discussed, which is energy management. High energy equals high momentum. Right? It's not even about time management. It's really about priority management. The most important thing is to keep the most important thing the most important thing. I think one of the most important things to prioritize is your energy. right? So you prioritize activities that boost your mental energy, exercise. I always say, take your meds. Meds RX. M is meditate, right? So having some kind of practice to disconnect, to reconnect. B is exercise. As your body moves, your brain grooves. The D is your diet. Whole area of science called neuronutrition, that your brain is only 2% of your body mass, but it requires 20% of the nutrients. And then the S is sleep, right? Sleep. When we don't sleep, how's our energy? How's our memory? How's our ability to focus? How's our ability to solve problems? The RX, the R is relationships. We know it's not just your neurological networks, it's your social networks, that who you spend time with is who you become. And then the X are just the extras. It could be some nootropics, it could be the cold showers, it could be other things that have been shown to just kind of give you that cognitive advantage. The N in momentum is nurture. And what I mean about nurture is those relationships. And when I just mentioned that, surround yourself with people that energize you, that challenge you, that encourage you, that inspire you. And positive relationships, they provide support when you have anxiety or stress. They provide accountability. They provide encouragement. And we all need people to encourage us, to challenge us, to teach us, to be kind to us. And if you haven't found that person, I would recommend being that person. Be that person for somebody else, especially be that person for yourself. The T in momentum is take action. And I just want to remind everyone listening that knowledge by itself is not power. It transforms into power when we act on it. It has the potential to be power. And I have this general rule: for every hour you spend learning something, spend an equal hour applying it.
So good.
Right? Because the truth is, all the coaching, all the books, all the podcasts, all the lectures, none of it works unless we work.
Exactly.
And we can't be upset by the results we didn't get from the work we didn't do. So, and I ask myself all the time when I'm listening to something or reading something, how can I use this? Why must I use this? When will I use this? Because one of the most important tools we have for productivity and peace is our calendar. And if you don't put in your calendar, you schedule parent-teacher conferences, doctor's appointments, investor meetings, but are you scheduling your self-care?
Yeah.
And are you scheduling your actions when you learn something? So that's T is take action. And then finally, the U and the M. U is unleash. Unleash your creativity. Creativity fuels innovation. It fuels problem solving, engaging in activities that spark your creativity. I think the future belongs to the creators, whether it's brainstorming or exploring new hobbies or, exercises to think out of the box. That's really where innovation happens, where problem solving happens. And, we spend a lot of time teaching people the process for being more creative. And then the last M is, I would say, mindfulness and attached to persistence. So it's like your mindful persistence. Persistence is a key to momentum, but it's equally important to be mindful about your persistence. You don't want to be very busy and persist at something doesn't get you the results, right? You don't want to climb the ladder of success only to realize when you get to the top that the ladder was leaning on the wrong wall.
So good.
So you begin with the end in mind, listen to your body, listen to your mind, adjust when needed, and keep moving forward with purpose and mindful intention. So this momentum acronym, just 8 things, is just a reminder to people it's designed to help you stay on course, to build unstoppable momentum, help you achieve your goals with less stress, anxiety, and more purpose and more energy. And remember, momentum is not just about speed. It's about consistent, deliberate practice and progress. Because what you practice in private, you're rewarded for in public.
Oh, wow. I tell you, you are the poster child for genius neuroplasticity in action. Really. That was beautiful. Thank you, Jim. That was amazing. I know that's helped so many people. Where can people find out more about you and all about your incredible online course, your books, just all the great support that you give to people in such a generous way?
Thank you. Our mission is to, I believe our brains are, it's our number one asset that we have. And so I would say that on our mission, we have a podcast. People could just search my name in their podcast app. We wrote a book called Limitless, a couple million copies sold. We donated all the proceeds to charity. We've built schools by funding nonprofits to build schools in Ghana, Guatemala, Kenya, and also Alzheimer's research for women. Women are twice as likely to experience Alzheimer's than men. Yet most of the research is done on men and treatments on men. I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's when I was 7, going through my challenges. And so we do that in memory of my grandmother.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I would love for people to take a screenshot of where they're consuming this and post it and tag Dr. Leaf and tag myself. I'm just at Jim Kwik everywhere. And there they could just share one thing you're going to do for a better brain. Because one of the best ways to teach learning something is to teach it to somebody else. So when you share it online, then your family benefits, your friends benefit, your fans, your followers. And so I think you learn to earn to return. And so, yeah, take a screenshot, tag us, follow us there, both of us. And we have these daily insights to help you level up your learning and your life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jim. It's been amazing again, as usual. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Leaf.